I had a goal. My goal was to quit my job within 6 months of starting my business. And that's what I did. At the time, I was like, this sounds crazy. And people would look at me and be like, I was engaged, about to get married. We split up like 7 months before the wedding date. And I was only like 25 or something like that. So it was quite traumatic at that stage. I had no idea how my life was going to work out. We live in a world where everything it's governed by money, so we have to play by money rules. But I know I'm destined for more. I know I can do more, right? So then I was like, what is that more?
Bali is great, but in Bali is also a distraction. If you get pulled in the wrong.
Time and freedom are definitely two more important commodities than money. But again, money is something that facilitates having time and having the freedom to do whatever you want. As much as I want, I can't coach and help everyone. Like, some people are not meant to be helped and coached by me. I moved to London, I literally knew no one. I remember when I arrived to London, I was like,
welcome on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We like to start off the show with the question, when you hear the word creative freedom, what does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, freedom for me, it's an internal state, something that you can just cultivate within. But if I'm talking about the exterior, like I've mentioned earlier, it's just about being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want. So you don't have to think about too much of that stuff. Like, let's just keep it simple. That's freedom for me.
Yeah, internally, you said internal as well.
Yeah.
You expand on that. What does that mean?
It just means that, whatever their circumstances are, or however challenging life can get sometimes, you know that you have freedom of choice, freedom of thoughts, and you then can, from that, create your own reality, which can seem for some people, can seem very scary, because that means like, hey, like I've got all this responsibility that I'm in the seat of creation. I can create whatever reality I want to. But also it's so freeing because, you can make things happen with the power of your actions and your thoughts. So yeah.
And turning into reality. And then just generally and externally, what's freedom for you? Or your perspective on it?
Yeah, like I've said, it's just about being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want it, and not have to worry about how you're going to do it. It's just that's for me, it's freedom. It's, of course, being financially stable or, having money can facilitate that. It would definitely help that. But it's like, sometimes I think we kind of like tend to trade money for time. But for me, time and freedom are definitely two more important commodities than money. But again, money is something that facilitates having time and having the freedom to do whatever you want.
Can you have freedom without money?
Internally, you can. Yeah, of course. Like I said, you can. Externally, not so much. We live in a world where everything is, it's governed by money. So we have to play by money rules. But yeah, I think internally you can always be free.
Unless you want to be a Buddhist monk. That'll be all right.
Yeah, well, maybe that, yeah.
I don't know how freeing it is to sit in one spot and like...
That's their freedom. That's their happiness.
But you hear a lot of stories of people, who were working in corporate for so many years, who gave up everything and just moved and lived the life of a monk. And I think Jay Shetty is one of them. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know him.
Yeah, I like watching his stuff.
Yeah, so, he gave up all of that and he moved and lived like a monk for so many years. And then he actually wrote a book, I think it's called Think Like a Monk. So,
Yeah, it's good. I should yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your name? Tell us your story.
So my name is Octavia. Well, it's actually Octavia, but most people can't say it, so we'll just go with Octavia. So I was originally born in Romania. I moved to London about 11 years ago. I moved to London. I literally knew no one. I remember when I arrived to London, it was like a cold February morning, like very foggy, cold. Obviously, probably was raining because it's London.
Every day, isn't it?
Yeah. And it just me and my 2 suitcases arrived in London. I knew no one. I had a job contract. I was working as a pharmacist at the time, but I knew no one. And I had no idea how my life was going to work out. So just me and my 2 suitcases arriving.
And this is back, where did you come from?
From Romania.
Romania.
Yeah.
And what was that decision even to go to the UK? Is that a...
It was okay. Good question.
Good question.
Good question.
Question, Dave.
I love it. Well, it was after a really hard breakup. I was actually engaged, about to get married.
This one's for me.
She's single.
So single guys, you know.
We're opening a can of worms here, right? Okay. So I was engaged, about to get married. We split up like 7 months before the wedding date. And I was only like 25 or something like that. So it was quite traumatic at that stage to, break just before you get married and everything. And I was looking for like something to do next. I didn't want to stay in Romania. And I remember someone that was in my year at uni said, hey, I've got a job as a pharmacist in the UK. They're paying quite well. I've been here for like almost a year. Why don't you check it out? So I applied for it. Everything went really smooth, really quick. I think it was just meant to be at that point. I just got a job offer. They offered me a contract for 1 year. I was like, okay, get your ass on the plane. And I was like, okay, I'm going to London. I had no plans what to do after that. I knew I was going to get there. But after that, I was like, I don't know. So I didn't think it through, to be honest, right? Looking back, I was like, I'm just going to go and sort it out. So yeah, me, my 2 suitcases and about like 2,000 pounds, and that was it.
How was London? Did it reach your expectations? Or?
I mean, I think with any place, I think it's very different to being a tourist to actually making a life there. Like even in Bali, right? It's very different. Before I moved there, I visited London as a tourist, and it's so nice, and it's the eye, and it's the museums, and it's the life, and it's the nightlife, and the clubs, and the this and the that. But hey, living in London, like it's such a big city. First of all, I thought it was like a cultural shock coming from a place like Romania where you don't see anyone but Romanians, right? And all of a sudden you're like in London, which is one of the most diverse places in the world. Cultured. Yeah, and you're like, wow, like this is intense. This is a lot. And the energy in London itself is intense. So I mean, it took a while to get used to it. I remember first few months, maybe, I think first couple of months, I used to cry on the phone with my mom. I'm like, I hate it. I want to go back. I don't get it. People are making fun of me. I can't even speak proper English. This is silly. Why did I do this? Da, 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 da. I was like, God, my mom was like, no, you're going to be fine. I know you. You're a nice person. You're bubbly. You're going to make friends. I'm like, no, I don't know anyone. And, and 10 years later, I was still there. So, okay.
Whereabouts in London was it?
So I'm from I'm not, but I live in Southeast London.
Southeast.
Yeah, Greenwich area. Which is a very nice area. But I've moved mostly around like Southeast London since I've been like in Bermondsey, London Bridge, and all that area. So mostly Southeast London.
So did you enjoy your job there? Did you enjoy your...
It was very challenging, like I said at first, because of the language barrier, and what I was doing in Romania as a pharmacist was very different to the job, what the job entitled in the UK, and the legislation and everything was very different. So it felt like I had started all over again.
Yeah.
In terms of like learning how to be a pharmacist. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the job. I transitioned from like working like in a community pharmacy to working like in very big hospitals in London. I specialized in HIV and sexual health, which I absolutely loved. It was such a great area to specialize in because your input as a specialist is really good. You get to do a lot of charity work, get involved, like creating a lot of awareness around HIV, and there's still a lot of stigma around this condition and everything like that. So your work, I think it really, really matters more so maybe than in other areas.
So what was your work specifically? Because you were in pharmacy. And then, it sounds like there was a lot of awareness and education as part of it as well. So what were you exactly doing?
It was. So a lot of the work was like making sure that people are getting diagnosed, first of all. And then they have access to treatment in the UK. Like the treatment is free. It's subsidized, or it's by the national healthcare system. So making sure that people have access to treatment, that they're staying on treatment, and then obviously once they've been on treatment for a long time, they can't pass on the disease. So obviously then we are reducing the number of transmissions from people to people, which is really good. And obviously there's a lot of campaigns that I was involved in, a lot of research. HIV is a field where there's a lot of money being put into developing new drugs all the time. So you're always involved in in the research and trials and stuff like that.
You said 10 years, yeah. I mean, what happened? What happened? Did you just sort of, was it enough, or tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, you
journey.
mean to the now me?
Well, the thing is, yeah, like, what was your next step? Like, did you have enough of it? If you love something, you kind of stay in there, yeah?
No, I was never bored. I loved the team. I loved what I was doing. I loved my patients. Like, everything was just really good for me. Like, I was in a cozy spot. But then being comfortable, that's not where you grow, right? So I was looking for something else. And I think I don't want to say I always knew, but I had this internal feeling at some point that I don't want to sound entitled, but I was like, I know I'm destined for more. I know I can do more, right? So then I was like, what is that more? So I think everyone should maybe at some point in their life explore that for themselves. Like, can you do something more? Can you do something better? At least explore it, even if you don't get to do it, but at least ask yourself these questions and get to explore that. So yeah, I started asking myself some questions, like, is there something outside a 9 to 5? Is there something outside what I'm doing currently that, I can grow into, I can pick up?
Yeah, that's such an interesting story, because you loved your life. You loved everything that you did, but being self-aware and being like, can I grow more? And what was that next step, I guess? And how did that come to be?
So yeah, I started this really intense self-development journey. I remember I was reading a lot of self-development books. I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I even got myself a coach, because I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. Having a life coach, I just want to know, just be a better person. Let's start off by doing that, and then I'll take it from there. And then I just fell in love with the process. Like, for me, it was really exciting, as much as it was uncomfortable at times to grow and,
growth.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable, but you kind of fall in love with it, And I was like, okay, this is really interesting. And as I was changing, people around me noticed me changing, and they were asking me questions like, how are you doing that? Like, how did you get from here to here? Like, what's the process? And then I started off literally by helping people with advice for free, family, friends. I'm like, you do this, maybe read this book, maybe do this in the morning, maybe you can pick up this, maybe you can give up that, and just general advice. And then I was like, wait, people are asking me, why can't I just, instead of giving free advice, I can just charge money for this. Like, I can, yeah, right? I was like, supply and demand, come with me, right? And I think I already had the skill set in terms of, from being a pharmacist and working with so many people from all areas of life. I think I had the skill set of, active listening, being empathic, and so on, providing advice and etc. So I was like, I have the skill set. There's a demand for it. Why not just go for it? So then I just was like, I'm going to be a life coach. So here I am.
That's fantastic. And so you had already gone through that process of, getting a coach or a life coach. What did you learn about yourself in that process?
Oh, wow. The question is, what didn't I learn?
What did or what didn't you learn?
So much. I want to keep it simple, but I think the most important thing is the power of your thoughts. I think having a strong mindset and how to work with your mindset. Having really great habits. I think having great habits, having structure to your day really sets up you for success in that way. And yeah, I would just keep it as that. Those 2 points are the most important ones.
Wow, because the self-development thing, I went on that same journey, but maybe some people might be thinking the same thing. What book really touched you?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So there was a few books. The Power of Now.
That was the first one I was thinking of. Eckhart Tolle, yeah.
Yeah. He's really good. Yeah, The Power of Now. Okay, now you put me on the spot because I've read so many books, but I'm going to speak about Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you guys know Joe Dispenza.
Tell me one of the titles of the books, maybe.
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Being yourself, yeah.
Yeah. I love him. I think he's such an amazing person. He's a scientist, right? But he's the only person that, for me, managed to kind of bridge that gap between the spiritual work that some people think it's woo or whatever we do there, right? And the science behind it, right? Like these things that we do actually work, right? And he's done a lot of research, and he works with like a lot of educated people and researchers from all over the world. And he's actually putting the science, the numbers behind, the evidence behind, like, hey, if you do this work, like the meditation and the breath work and this happens to your brain. You're altering the internal, the chemical structure of your brain by doing this and this. So when I started like digging deeper into his work and doing his meditations and type of breath work and everything, and reading the book and the science behind it, I was like, wow. I was like, so that was, I would say to everyone who doesn't know Joe Dispenza, do his work, listen to his stuff.
That's good.
It's amazing.
If you compare it to Eckhart Tolle, for example, there's no empirical evidence, right? Like that person that you mentioned, right? There's actually fact behind it, or scientific backing for all the woo-woo stuff, right?
Yeah, that's what some people call woo. Some people are like, okay, what do you guys do there? Like, you just sit in a circle and all meditate. Like, what is going on? But like, they measure like the frequencies of your brain and the electric charge around your heart and how everything is altered. And they take blood before and after you meditate and stuff like that. So they do like a lot of like scientific stuff, and then you look at the numbers, and the numbers don't lie.
The numbers never lie.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you have sort of a goal? Because all your friends started coming, right? You already had the mindset, look, I'm going to test this out. And then another thing that you said was, you're action-based as well. The action has to come with the thoughts, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But did you have like a goal? Did you go, look, I'm going to start a life coaching business, right? And then everything sort of fell into place.
Yeah, I had a goal. My goal was to quit my job within 6 months of starting my business. And that's what I did. That was my goal, which at the time I was like, this sounds crazy. And people would look at me and be like, this girl is like out of her mind. But I made it happen, right? I just made it happen. So that was my goal. So I literally looked at the numbers. I was like, okay, in 6 months, I want to make from my business as a coach as much as I'm making from my business, from my job as a pharmacist. And then, just cut that life raft, that's keeping you in the loop, in the system, and then just go. And that's what I did.
It's funny you say that. We had another guest on, and he said kind of opposite. He don't believe in the whole having your job and trying to set up your business. When I was sitting, I was thinking, well, I've kind of done that, and I know some other people, but everyone to their own. And now you saying that is like the opposite way he said. I'm more sit on your side of it. All the self-development books I've read, always kind of talk about that. Like work on your own business while you're working in your own job until you start earning more money in your job.
I mean, there's no wrong or right way to go about it. I think everyone's journey is different. I think that's why you have different guests here, right? Yeah. And everyone can share their opinions, and people can 100%. Just take from it whatever they want.
Yeah. And so you quit your job, right? You actually reached your goal, and then did you expand the business? What did it look like after that?
I mean, the transition was hard. For me, it was difficult. I don't know how other people find it, but for me, it was difficult because all of a sudden, I'm not expecting that paycheck at the end of the month. I'm responsible. I feel a lot more responsibility around the money that I'm making. And now my business is growing. So I'm having people working for me. And then I feel responsible for paying them as well. And that is like another whole thing, right? That I came with it.
Leadership.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then, and it's just like all sorts of challenges. So the transition for me wasn't that easy or that smooth. I think it was just more the mindset of being like an employee for so long. And then all of a sudden you have this freedom, right? But like, what do you do with this freedom? Like, you're just like, and initially I think I was like, so like still clinging on to the money, right? Side of things. And I was like, well, like I need to make more, because what if next month I'm not making as much, and then I can't pay my bills, and I need to make more. And it was like, I was like kind of like in between this, like wanting to enjoy the freedom of the fruits of of being an entrepreneur and having your own business. But at the same time, I was like, what if this goes away in the next day? And oh my God, yeah. So it was like, I was like in between this dance.
I think everybody struggles with that if they're in their business, because you don't know what's coming through the next month through the door.
And one thing I want to mention, right, if I can, guys, look at your numbers in your business, because I had to learn this the the very hard way. I've learned so many lessons, but this was very hard for me. I had to learn it the hard way. Like, look at the numbers in your business, know what's going in and what's going out. Get yourself a good accountant.
100%.
Honestly, someone that's going to guide you, explain to you, know your taxes, know your everything. And then you're going to feel more secure in your business. Because for me, I didn't do that and I had to learn the hard way. But yeah, that's
good. Some good advice there, guys. Yeah, take that on.
That's another lesson, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, actually, because like back home, I look at a lot of people in England, it's like, they don't know their ingoings and outgoings. There's a lot of them, they're making money upon a job, and then but they're actually spending more money than they actually make. And it's like, you know, you sit them down and with a counter and they give you that list of your ins and outs, people are like, oh my God, I spend that much more money.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to know, definitely.
Yes. And how long with the life, how far did you take the life coaching business? And
I mean, in terms of numbers?
No,
or in terms
just in general. Like, it seems like, you know, are you still doing life coaching? Are you doing something else now?
Yeah. So, as I said, I started as a life coach. I was doing a lot of like one-to-one coaching. Then I started going more like into programs and offering like different digital courses and everything like that. So I did expand my business. And then I transitioned more into business coaching because a lot of people were asking me advice on how do you grow your business. And I was like, okay, like I can teach you because I've done that, you know, I've made some money, you know. But yeah, that was not for me. Like I soon realized maybe like 6 months into that, I was making money. I was making quite a lot of money. But I was like, this is not for me, right? Like I was just doing it because it was making me money, right? I'm gonna be honest. But it was, my soul, it was not there. My passion was not there. So then I was like, okay, like I could keep on doing this, but I was like, this is not why I started my business in the first place. Like I want to feel like it's another job or another chore that I'm doing just to make money. So then I had to take a step back and I took a little break because I was like, okay, like I need to figure out what's next for me in terms of coaching and business and whatever. So I took a little break, and that's when I started doing other stuff on my, you know, in terms of my own self-development. And I started doing a lot of breath work, a lot of inner child healing, so a lot of body-based practices. We call that somatics. And yeah, that was like a whole different chapter in my, you know, in my transformation. And I was like, wow, I love this. Like I want to bring that more to people. And what I love most about what I'm doing right now is the fact that I'm connecting with people in real life. So I'm working with them, you know, in real life, and I'm, you know, and I get to facilitate events and be part of, you know, see transformation happen in real life and feel people's energy. And I love that. That is like the best feeling. Whereas before, when I was doing a lot of the business coaching was mainly via Zoom, online, and it was just, you know, it was good, but it didn't feel like the real deal. Now it feels like, wow. Yeah.
So what pushed you to thinking about making a move out of the country?
I think, you know, I always knew that London wasn't like the ultimate destination for me, and I was not going to always live there. So in the last maybe year or so, I was like, I'm exploring what my next home can be.
It always sounds like you're exploring and taking it to the next step. Yeah.
So like exploring, right? Well, I think that's what life is about at the end of the day, right? You have to explore, you have to see. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I've been coming to Bali for so many years, and it's always been like, has like a really special place in my heart. And I always thought, I'm going to live here one day. I didn't know when that was going to happen. So the last year or so, I've been exploring, you know, like different parts of the world where I could potentially, you know, call home next after London.
Yeah, and what were some of those options?
So I lived in Lisbon for a little bit. Then I moved to Paris, and now I'm here in Bali. I've been here for 3 months now.
And what was better, Paris or London? Just preparing here to get to French.
I mean, okay, so I'm going to be biased because I love Paris so much.
What was it about Paris?
I think for me, the food is 10 times better than it could ever be in London. I just love the food, right? And I just love the culture. I think, you know, France has, there's so much culture. It's very rich in culture. It's so offering. And yeah, I just love being there. And Paris, I think, such a beautiful city. Everywhere you look, there's something beautiful. There's something that pleasing your eyes. So, especially at nighttime, it's such a beautiful city.
Well, what about Romania?
Oh, what about Romania? I mean,
careful what you say.
Sorry, Mom, love you. Mom watching this, she's not gonna be happy. I mean, I wouldn't go back. My family's there, so I'm always going there to visit and everything. But I wouldn't go back. I think the mindset and the mentality there is like so backwards compared to, for example, what you have here in Bali. And no, I don't see myself being there.
Yeah, and what's your mom and dad think about?
I'm an only child. I'm a girl, right? So you can imagine they're never gonna be 100% happy with me living in different places around the world. But I've moved so many times now that I think they're just
getting used to it now.
They're used to it now. So, but Bali's the furthest, so like it takes a whole day to get back. I'm like, I know.
How long have you been in Bali?
3 months now.
3 months. And how is that going?
I love it. I love it. I think, everyone comes to Bali and they all love being in Bali. You hear people coming on holiday and they're like, I'm going to move here. I'm going to extend my holiday. So the energy of the place, I think it's fantastic. There's so many opportunities here. But I also think it can be very, it can be very distracting. So I think here you have to, if you want to make it, it's I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's easier maybe than in other places. But you have to be really committed and focused to what you want to do, because otherwise there's so many distractions and you can be pulled in so many directions, that you just lose yourself, right? So I think you have to be really centered, really focused, really committed, have a strong sense of self or what you want to do and what you want to achieve. And if it doesn't align with that, you have to at some point say no, right?
Yeah.
Because FOMO is really like, it's in Bali. Like,
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because now that you've been here 3 months, I think it was my first month. Yeah, I knew I was gonna party, and I just got it out. Yeah.
Same. I got it out of the system in the first few weeks. I was like, this.
And it took a while. And Bali is great, but Bali is also a distraction. If you get pulled in the wrong, if you can't say no, then
exactly. Then you've got a problem.
Then you got a problem. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Right.
Okay, it's interesting because you've been here many times to Bali, but it's like, so that obviously the times before have been holidays.
Yes.
And now living here, it's like, it's good to hear the difference. Yeah.
Different mentality. Yeah. And first few weeks I was acting like I was on holiday still. I was like, yeah, let's go out, let's do this. But then I was like, yeah, I can't be doing that. Like, I live here now, right?
What's your biggest distractions? I keep hearing that.
Okay, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, right? So I think when you're a good-looking woman, not that I know something about that. I think it's just like everyone keeps asking you out to all sorts of events, right? Everyone wants you there. Like, come to this, do that. Like, I'm doing a photo shoot. We're launching this. There's a party. There's an event, and it's just like. And it's good and it's flattering and it's nice, but at the same time, it's like you can't be doing that all the time. Unless it's part of your job and that's how you grow your...
Yeah, make your money out of it. Be good.
Yeah. Otherwise, and as well, I think it's, because everyone here has this mindset entrepreneur and everyone wants to do something, or most people, let's say, right? Most people want to do something, start something. And then again, everyone has so many ideas that, again, you have to be like really centered and focused what you want to do, because you can get pulled... Let's invest in this. Let's do crypto. Let's do this, right? And again, like some opportunities are great, but some opportunities can act as a distraction from what.
Stay on the path.
Stay the course.
Yeah, as long as you have that goal as well, you better come here with a goal, right? Because if you don't, 100% you get distracted.
Yeah. And there's two sides of Bali. It's like the people who live here and the people come on holiday. Yeah, it's totally different though.
So when you came to Bali, did you know anybody here? Did you have friends, or was it 2 suitcases in Bali if no nobody?
Actually, 3 suitcases this time, but I mean, I had a few friends, that I met from my previous trips here, but I wouldn't say I knew anyone that was like a really good friend or someone that was really close. It was just like acquaintances, people I had met in different circles. But now I've been here 3 months. I've made like a couple of friends. People, you know, who I'm like really resonating with, and hope we're gonna do something actually together. We're gonna create something. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Exciting. Yeah,
that's excellent. Well, was it tough for you though, or to? I think you're quite extroverted anyway, so it wasn't that difficult. But do you have any internal sort of fears?
I think as much as, and I share this on my stories on my social media. I think first 2 weeks that I got here. I think as much as you're always surrounded by people and there's always a lot of opportunities and you're always can be going out all the time and you're never by yourself, it actually is lonely sometimes because you don't, for me, for example, like I said, I don't really have like any like really close friends here. My family's not here. So it can get lonely sometimes because you're always talking to people and you're meeting up and you're going out and you're doing loads of stuff. But if you don't have, that few people in your life that are really important to you that you can confide in, I think it can get lonely at times. And a lot of people maybe don't share about that, but yeah.
You're right, because it's like, I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like, Dave's like one of my friends, so he goes to Vietnam and he leaves me here on my own.
Don't worry, Simon, you've got me now. I'll look after you.
And now I'm like, I want to go somewhere. I want to do something. It's like, I like going for bike rides.
Yeah.
On journeys, and I'm just on my own. It's not the same.
It's not the same, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, when I came here, I kind of knew the type of people that were here in terms of like making friends or relationships, because everyone is quite flaky is not the right word, but transient is exactly, a better word for that. Where people would say 30 days. 60 days, 6 months, or a year.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter, but people are always on the move as well. And personally, for me, it was, do I want to put that time commitment in there as well? Is like one of the biggest things. And like to your point about even though there's tons of people, it can be isolated. One of the biggest problems I hear about digital nomads is that, it is lonely, right? I'll go onto like the beach in Canggu. And I'll walk out and it's just by myself and there's a ton of people, but sometimes it's like you're lonely if you don't have a core set of friends.
And there's one thing, like a lot of people come on my journey in Bali, it's like, and I've learned it myself now, it's like before I was making a lot of friends, but then these people were always only staying for short time, so you build this bond and then they go, then you're back to square one. And then I had this discussion with so many people and they say that after a while, it's that when you start talking to someone, you say, are you here on holiday or are you living here? Because you want to get that out of the way. If they're not living here, you don't want to really invest too much.
Exactly.
Because they're going to leave. I experience that a lot of times. And so that now when I meet people, I do actually ask that question because
you do a check.
How long are you here for?
Is it 6 months, 6 to a year? Okay. That's good. Yeah. That's good.
But it is like literally that is going through your head.
Biggest thing now that so many people go through that. It's quite.
And I think I think it's like the biggest problem comes to this obstacle is when you're trying to date here. Everyone complains about the same thing. I hear everyone saying the same thing. Oh, you can't date in Bali. It's very hard. You can't meet someone because everyone's in and out. So don't even bother. Don't even start.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Like you have to ask that question. If you meet someone on a date, is that, are you saying this? You've been passing by.
Or you're just going to Thailand the next month. Okay.
Well, you say you hear the same problems. I don't hear any. What are some of the problems that you hear about dating?
About dating, I think that's the main thing. That people complain. About. And again, like you mentioned, maybe not the flakiness, but let's be honest. Like Bali is right now, it's an island full of beautiful people from all over the world, right? So everyone's spoiled for choice, right? So it's like
Yeah, some more spoiled than others.
Yeah.
Looking at me when you say that. All right. Wow, we've got a bit stunned with that. All right, so like you've been here now, yeah? How are you settling in? But you're so new, so it's like we never had anyone on the show who's like only been here for 3 months.
Fresh.
So
fresh off the boat. So like I said, first few weeks was all about like getting it out of the way, the partying, the going out, then my social battery was drained. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, okay, whatever. So now for me, the most important thing it was just like getting back into a routine. Because once I have a routine, then I can just build from there. Like I know if I'm, going to the gym, eating healthy, not staying out late, then I can just, focus on my work, focus on other things. So I think the routine was the most important thing for me.
Yeah, now that I think you're sort of establishing a schedule and a routine, right? So you said somatics and breath work and healing. Please explain, because I don't understand a thing, yeah?
These are spirituals.
Okay. So, so as I said, I started off doing a lot of mindset work. And mindset work is where it all starts, like with your mindset and having awareness and understanding the importance of your thoughts and understanding how you're playing certain patterns in your thinking, in your acting for your life, and how you can change or rewrite that, obviously to whatever goal it is that you have in mind. But what I realized after doing this work for a long time is that there was something missing. Like there was, like you got to a point where you're doing all this mindset work, but how do you translate that into like every day, right? Like what happens past once you get the awareness, once you know that you've been thinking a certain way that doesn't serve your whole life, and you're like slowly trying to change that, like what is the next step after that, right? And what I realized by doing this work with myself is that the key to like embodying all this new learning that or this new learning in terms of like, again, like new patterns of thinking and behaving happens actually in your body. So your body is kind of like, how I see your body is like this really complex and this really beautiful and this really sophisticated and very smart tool that you can use to understand what it is that exactly you need to do next in order to like implement all the stuff that you've worked on your mindset. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so give us an example, like maybe of, give us an example, like what are more like the common issues that you come along?
Yeah, so a lot of the work that I've done on myself and with my clients is like really deep healing, like trauma and like breaking karmas and like patterns that are inherited from past generations. I don't know if you guys believe in karma. Some people do, some people don't. But some of the things that we're dealing with in this lifetime are inherited, so are passed from through our bloodline from past generations. So I'm just gonna give my example, right, so people understand exactly what I'm talking about. So a big portion of the work that I've done on myself was working on my money mindset, or working around understanding money and how I can make more money and how can I be more comfortable managing large amounts of money, etc. And I've never been once in a position in my life where I didn't have resources, or I didn't have access to resources, or I felt lack. But I always had this internal fear that it's going to be taken away from me, or there's not enough. And I always need to make more. But in real life, that was never the situation. But internally, I felt there. So outside, there was no lack. Internally, I felt like there was a lack. I felt like there was a need to always make more. And I could not really understand where this is coming from, because again, this is not something that I'm experiencing in this lifetime. But then when I started doing this deep work with somatics, I understand that, hey, this is passed from like past generations, like my mom, like my grandmother, and so on and so on. They went through poverty, and sometimes severe poverty, right? I haven't experienced poverty or lack in this lifetime, but on a deep level, I fear that. So then I understood that this fear that I'm dealing with in this lifetime is not mine. It's carried through my bloodline.
Yeah, just
Add that.
to butt in though, just from, because I did social sciences, so I can sort of understand. The interesting that it's heretic or genetic that you're saying that, but from like growing up, like childhood trauma, was that, I just want to distinguish, was it, for you, was it hereditary, or was it from your parents that were lacking and then you felt internally?
Yeah, no. So even my parents, they've never, like, when I grew up, I had access to a lot of things and a lot of resources. So it's not something that I've experienced or lived at any point in this lifetime. It's something that it's passed on. And there was this study, I'm going to try and keep it short. There was this study that they did. It's called, I feel cherry blossom study. So they did this in Japan. How they proved this, right? Because again, the science behind it, right? So they took this mice, and this is not a nice image that I'm going to describe, but let's get through it. So they took these mice, and every time they had them in this cage, and every time they sprayed this scent, which would smell like cherry blossom, right? They electrocuted them. Not a nice image, right? But anyway, right? So they electrocuted them. So every time spray, they got electrocuted, right? So this created obviously in them like a reaction, right, within their bodies of reacting to this electric stimulus. And then what they did is obviously this mice replicated, and they had baby mice, and then they had baby mice again, and so on and so on and so on. And every time, and then they did the same test on the first generation, the second, and the third generation of mice after that. But what they did is they only sprayed the scent, but they didn't electrocute them or nothing, right? But the mice, the first, second, and third generation had exactly the same reaction to the smell as the original, wow. The ones that they experienced this reaction in their body, right? Which then proved that it's passed through your bloodline. This trauma they experience in your body, it's passed on to up to 3 generations in mice. I don't know humans, but yeah.
Yeah, and is there a solution to that, or like?
What's your solution?
Yeah. Sorry, guys, we're going deep right now, right? But yeah, so I think it's just working, like I said, through breath work, like really understanding, like accessing like different pathways in your brain, and like trying to rewrite and release trauma from your body, because your body then obviously stores in your cells through your DNA that is passed on through your ancestors, right? Stores this trauma, right? This fear in my case, right? Fear of not having enough money, basically, right? And then releasing this trauma through different types of breath work, and then working with your inner child, and all this stuff that I like, tapping. I don't know if you guys are familiar with tapping, when you access like different.
It's so funny because I was reading something on that yesterday about the whole tapping.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is tapping?
Yeah, so there's like these different pressure points, right, that you have all around your body, that you can, just by gentle tapping into them, you can access these pressure points, and you can kind of like rewrite.
That's called a massage, yeah.
No, Dave.
No.
Not that anyway.
Not that type of massage, no. You can just access like different, create like a different neural pathways in your body, just by accessing this like really high energetic points that are around your.
Kind of like when I go to massages, you know how they've got the picture of like.
Sorry, Dave.
No, really, but with the feet, yeah, and they've got specific points on the feet that activate different parts of your body.
Yeah, that's the same principle. The same principle, yeah.
Sorry. So, like, what's been your best thing, like you've really been happy since being here?
The best thing?
Yeah. Except for like me teaching you boxing in the gym. But.
Of course, that's one of the highlights of my stay here so far. I wouldn't say there's one best thing. I just am, and what I'm enjoying at the moment is the easiness of life that you have in Bali. I think it's just life in Bali can be so easy if you can make it easy for yourself. I mean, how many places are there in the world? Just gonna walk on the beach, and then you have a massage, and then you meet up some friends for a casual dinner, and so
that's what my next question is, like, because they always have this image of what we do out here.
Yeah.
Like when you live here, you have your day-to-day routine. What's your routine like? So people are watching here right now, they want to know that you wake up and.
Guys, I go to the beach every morning at 7, and I go to Mondays and Wednesdays morning. I go to a class. We do boxing. I'm terrible at it, by the way, but anyway, I'm getting better at it. Yeah, so for me, is sleep is like a key thing for me. It's very important. Just make sure I go to bed early and I get enough sleep. Wake up early. I always have like a little stretch first thing when I wake up. I pray. That's the thing that's personal for me. I write some stuff in my journal, set some goals or some intentions for the day. And yeah, just kind of like start my day. And then most of the times I go to the gym. I try to be there 8 or before 8. So I work out. And then, we do a bit of recovery. We do a bit of sitting in the sun, connecting with people, chat by the pool, as you know. And and then, just get on with work, I guess. And in the evenings, again, it could be like going out for dinner. Sometimes, watching the sunset at a nice place, because there's always beautiful sunsets in Bali. If people are wondering what we do here, we watch sunsets.
But sunsets.
Sometimes on the weekend, you could go like a little trip. You could go to different parts of the island, and so there's always so many beautiful places.
What's been your hardest time here? What are you finding hard? Is there any unexpected stuff that you didn't expect popped up?
I think the hardest bit was, when I had friends over. I think it was just very hard for me to balance trying to give a lot of time and attention to my friends, but always trying to have a routine and stick to my regular schedule. Because like you said, people here, when they come on holiday, they have a different mentality, and they always expect you to be like going out 24/7 and hosting and doing a lot of stuff. And I'm like, well, like I'm drained now. Like, guys, I can't go out every night because, I have to go to gym. I have to work, I'm not on holiday. So, and explaining that to people sometimes is hard.
Yeah, I went through that. It's like there's one bit where someone came out, then a couple of weeks later someone else come out, and my mum and dad came out for 2 months, and it was just continuous. And I was like having no time to do my normal routine. So it's like you're become the host.
Yeah,
you're trying to think about where to take them and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's always like that. Plan for them and take them to different islands, and
they're always looking at you like, what's next? Like, Jesus.
Well,
exactly.
The good thing is that you're from Romania, being from Australia. Every month, there's only 1 month for the last 24 months that I had nobody come visit me.
My God.
And I fly specifically to Vietnam to get away.
You have to go to Bali to
Yeah, it is so bad. It is so bad because everyone thinks I'm on they come on a holiday, yeah?
Yeah.
Right? Ain't no holiday for me, yeah? And so,
exactly. I'm like, I've got work.
Yeah. And so you have to play tour guide. As every month I lose a week. Yeah.
For me, it's only happened once, but it's only been three months. So, like I'm still expecting.
Once everyone starts to know that you're here living here, it's like, where should we go on holiday? Let's go to Bali.
It's Octavia's Day. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's what's today is the 7th. Okay, some friends are actually landing today. Thank you for reminding me.
I even got a message today like saying, so my friend's coming over. That's the worst one, you guys. Like when they say, yeah, my friend's coming over, my auntie's coming over. So it's like, man, Jesus, I've got a life here,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's hard one now.
And so just to wrap it up, like, look. One of the things that I love to, and is very interesting, I would love to go deeper, is who are the types of people that you do help with your breath work and whatnot?
Okay. So I think most of the people that I tend to connect with are people who have already been doing the work. So are further, let's say, in the stages of self-development. They're not quite new to this realm, but like want to take it one step further. Like they've done the work, but like, okay, like, so now what? Like, how do I implement all this work that I've done? Like, how do I just like take it to the next level, the next step? Because I think a lot of the work that I do, it's quite deep, it's quite triggering, it's quite, heavy sometimes, but that's just in my nature to be able to hold space in that sense for people. So people who are looking to really resolve deep traumas and stuff, that they feel like I've done this work for so long, but it's still coming up, it's still there. Like, I don't really know exactly what's going on.
And so how does someone be aware of it? Because I guess I've heard it before.
Yeah.
And look, surely I have some trauma somewhere. Probably.
We all have, yeah.
Well, but I don't see it. Yeah. How do I become aware, or someone that, that is watching that, probably know there's something wrong internally, but you don't know how to see it, right? Or
I think, like I said, I think it's not something that you notice at the beginning of your journey into self-development. I think once you've been on this path for a little while, and it's some patterns that are just like really deep-rooted, like you've worked really hard to try to overcome this, but it's still coming up, it's still playing up in different parts of your life. That's when kind of like you have to see like, well, like this is something that it's just not that easy to fix, or I don't want to say get rid of, because it's not exactly the term that I'm looking for, but it's something that it's again coming up. Or like in my case, like I said, it's something that like, why am I scared of this? Why can't I get over this? It's not something that I've experienced in this lifetime, but it's like a deep rooted fear that you might have. And you can't really pinpoint because it's not something that you've experienced.
I guess, I guess would it be right to say that is that voice in your head that is really fear-based? Like, for example, look, I'm in Bali, but I'm working all the time because, I have to work, but there's always that fear if I don't make it, then would that be one of the issues that you would?
It could be, yeah. It could be one of them. Yeah, it's a lot to do with fear, but it can be something else as well, right?
Like earlier, deep rooted from ancestors.
Yeah, from your ancestors. Yeah, and this is something that it's like I said, it's not so easy to pinpoint or to track. It's more, once you have to be on this path for a little bit, you have to be doing this work, and then after a while you're like, wow, like this is not shifting, this is not moving, this keeps coming up and up and up, and then it could come up the same fear or the same pattern, but in different areas of your life, and it's still holding you back. Although you've done the work, you've spoken to, you've seen a therapist, you've seen a coach, you're doing this, you're doing that, and it's still playing up after a long time. You're like, wow, like this is some deep stuff.
And so those people, why would I go to you? I guess you've taken on, it doesn't work with some people, or maybe some other coaches.
I think it's everyone brings their own value as a coach, right? And I don't want to say I've got a secret formula or a secret sauce. I think they just have people resonate with you because they resonate with your story and the way you teach and the way you explain things and your energy. And that, I think that's what sets you apart from everyone else. I don't want to feel like I'm better or I'm further along than anyone else.
Yeah, and sometimes people will talk to you more than others. His name, Anthony Robinson, Anthony, the speaker, who's killing her. But anyway, there was another guy, everyone likes listening to him. But then there's Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn spoke to me so clearly, so I used to listen to him. So some people you resonate to.
So, for example, right? I've tried to.
Tony Robinson, sorry.
Tony Robbins. Yeah.
Yeah, he's famous, right? I've tried to take unboxing before, right? And never could get into it. But I met Simon, and he was the best. And the way his energy and the way he's teaching, I was like, I want to come again, right? Although I've tried in the past with other coaches, and I was like, it's not for me. Yeah. But now it actually is for me because I have a great coach that I can resonate with. So.
Yeah, I think it's all powerful, especially with, you have to vibe with who it is. They all do great work. It's like that book, right? You got Eckhart Tolle, is one of the biggest names, and then you've got
Joe Dispenza.
That's it, yeah. But some will resonate more than others,
right? Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I think, and again, it's about the stage that you are in your life and in your journey as well, right? Because I can't help, this is one of the first lessons that I've learned when I started being a coach. It's as much as I want, I can't coach and help everyone. Some people are not meant to be helped and coached by me, and that's why there's so many other people that can help them, right? As much as I want to, I can guide them and maybe support them a little bit, and hey, this is point them in a direction. But not everyone is for me, so that's absolutely fine.
Cool. So we'll wrap this up, guys. Thanks for joining.
No, actually, so sorry to cut you off, Dave.
Go on.
So right. There's a lot of people watching this now.
Yes.
And they might be having these thoughts in their head about moving out, but they might have these fears or these things in their head. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to give them any advice?
About moving to Bali or
just taking that step, because a lot of people are they're working their 9-to-5 job and they're not happy.
They might love it.
They might love it. We had someone who was like that, but there's a lot of people who are always thinking about taking the steps, but then it's the fear thing, they made up these own blockages in their head why they can't do it.
I would say just do it, right? You have to take chances. I always ask myself when I do things, what's the worst that can happen? We create these fears in our head, but all of the scenarios, maybe not even 10% of them happen, right? So just just take that chance, take that risk. You never know what's on the other side unless you try. Like, you fail, what's the worst thing that can happen? You can go back to your 9 to 5. Like, okay, you had 6 months and you failed at it, but you still learn some lessons, right? So again, getting back to the beginning of our conversation, like, ask yourself, like, is there something more that I can do with my life? What is that? Explore that idea first, right? Surround yourself with people, you know, who are doing this, because that will actually keep you motivated and will inspire you, right? If you're always surrounded by people who, you know, are just like very complacent and just, you know, surface level, then you're not going to grow, you're not going to evolve, right? So surround yourself by people who are already doing it. I always say, you know, just find something that you're really good at, really passionate about. If you don't know where to start, you're really good at, you're really passionate about, something that you would do for free. If somebody woke you up in the middle of the night, is there something, a topic or something that you can just talk about, do for free? If nobody paid you, would you still like put a lot of effort and commitment and be passionate about? Because that's a good way to start if you don't know exactly what that next thing is that you want to do. And see if, you know, there's a demand for it. If someone wants to pay money to learn and skip some steps to get from A to B quicker by hiring you, why not, you know?
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah, the idea of you doing something for free just because you love it.
Yeah. And one thing that I'm like, for me, like I'm really passionate about is having like a vision and having something that is bigger than you, because there's going to be so many moments that you're going to be challenged in this journey. But if you have a vision that is bigger than you, then the vision is going to hold you when you want to give up, right? Like, I look at Simon sometimes and he's so inspiring. And I think I'm doing a lot, but when I talk to Simon and tap into his vision, I'm like, well, like, I'm not doing enough. Like, I could do more, right? So, yeah, like, you're all good, right? Like,
we all think smaller of ourselves sometimes.
Yeah, right?
I feel like I'm not doing that. I need to do something more.
Yeah, but then I look at Simon and I hear Simon talk so, and I'm like, connect to this vision, whatever that is. Make it about others, not about you, and let that hold you when there's moments when you're going to be really challenged. I think that's a big thing.
I like that you said the vision thing. I want to talk to you after when we finish.
Here we will.
You said something and it really resonated with me. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know she'd done that. And I actually got some idea that I was thinking about doing. So we never know, guys. You might actually see something in the future here. Yeah, cool.
Stay tuned.
Dave, good.
Yeah, cool, guys.
That's all, folks.
So if anybody will wrap up, is there somewhere, a place that, you know, if someone wanted to reach out or connect with you?
Yeah. Instagram is the easiest, Octavia_mentoring. That's where they can find me. There's a lot of information there if they want to
Perfect. All right.
connect with me.
Cool. Guys, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll chat to you next week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.